Hello everyone, this is Shotgun into 1000 here, Pony for Duty, welcoming you to another side video. You're probably wondering why am I creating this side video this time? Well, the reason why is because, I'm just going to pause that music right there because obviously that sounds a bit louder than I thought it was going to be. But oh well. The reasoning why I decided to do this side video is because recently, when I was playing Pokemon Ultra Sun, just to pass the time, because I do get bored pretty easily, I was trying to battle against Ultra Necrozma, as you can pretty much tell from the Megalo Tower, and my team were basically way under level, as he was like pretty high level, and I couldn't even knock him out in one hit, or survive at least one hit from him. So that's basically the main reason why I come up with this video, and no, it's not to talk about Ultra Necrozma the entire video. It's mainly to help teach you guys at home how to play a Pokemon game, or in general, create an exclusively good / competitive Pokemon team. So I'm going to go behind the camera now, and I'm going to put up my laptop screen. You probably can't see it now because I folded it down so you can record my face. But I'm going to put the laptop up now, so that way we can see what I mean. Okay? So at the minute I've only got a black screen because I'm actually doing it on like a presentation, just to make things a little bit more interesting than just to have me try to show picture after picture in front of the camera. So obviously there's my logo, as you can pretty much tell, with the two mellow letters, and also certain Pokemon to actually spell my name. We've got the shiny Arbok to represent the S, Girafarig to represent the H, but you can't see his back end because it's blending in the background. We got Coughing to represent O, Comfey with the C, Unknown to represent the K, as well as the N, Assuril to represent the I, Aegislash to represent the A, the Moltres symbol from Pokemon Go to represent the T, Solrock to represent O, and another unknown to represent the R. Okay? So, here we go. The top tips for creating a good Pokemon team. Now, I might actually ramble on about this a lot, but you might have to bear with me about this, because this is helpful to teach people who have never ever played a Pokemon game nor done any competitive battling online before. So, I'm doing this on a good cause. Okay? So, number 1. Planning, which is the key thing we should always do. And that's actually shining on the... I can see that's actually shining on the light a little bit more brighter than I thought it was going to be. Okay? So, as always, it is essential to plan a team before just jumping right into the game. So, like, say, for instance, you could do something like, I don't know, create a story-based team to help you go through the entire journey, but it will be bad if you do stuff like creating an entire team that is based on having it be one type. Like, say, for example, you use a Yungoos, a Rattata, a Zigzagoon, a Sentrent, a Jigglypuff, and a Clefairy. Now, the reason why I've mentioned all of them is because, excluding Gen 6 and 7, they were all known to be playing normal types. But Jigglypuff is now a normal fairy type, while Clefairy is a plain fairy type. So yeah, that's the key thing you got to remember about planning a team. Pay attention to the Pokemon's type, because you don't want to use too many Pokemon of the exact same type, because you will get screwed. Because it'll be like a normal type Pokemon team And the first team you deal with is a ghost type team. You won't be able to hit that ghost type at all with your normal moves. So yeah. Another thing you got to remember that's actually linked to the Pokemon's type. What types beat the Pokemon? So, like I say, for instance, with Jigglypuff, he's a normal fairy type. You think fighting would actually be able to beat it now that he's a part fairy type, but actually he's not. His only weaknesses are varied on poison and steel. So, that will mean you can either teach the Pokemon a certain move, with also their abilities as well, so you got to memorize their abilities. So, yeah, like for instance, hang on, I'll go back to the move thing in a minute, guys, so don't worry. With the abilities, if your Pokemon has a certain ability that you like, you can use it, but if it has an ability that you're not too particularly fond of, ignore it. And I can tell good abilities that you want to avoid. And when I say good abilities to avoid, I don't necessarily mean that they are indeed good to use. They are Pickup, because that only works outside of battle. Runaway, which only allows you to run away from wild encounters. What else? We've also got Insomnia, which is actually pretty good because it prevents the Pokemon from being fast asleep. But the thing is, there are certain Pokemon that can learn the move Rest, which puts the Pokemon to sleep for fully healing their HP that they've recently taken damage of. But the main problem is, they can't fall asleep because the insomnia is preventing them, so they can't heal themselves up. And now back to the moves. So this is actually what I was on about. Like, a certain Pokemon is able to learn a certain move, but not one Pokemon can learn every single move created in the entire game at all. I know you say that the legendary Pokemon Mew will be able to, but I don't think so. Because there are literally a lot of moves that have been introduced in Pokemon. And I am actually not kidding. If Mew was able to learn every single move... hang on, I got a problem here. Right. Sorry about that. My, oh god. Yeah, my mouse just fell off the bed, so I'm just putting it back to where it was. Okay, there we go. We're back to where we were now. So, as I was saying, like, Mew, yes, probably can learn every single move. But if he was to learn every single move, then he would be eligible to learn those moves by breeding, as well as Move Shooter, as well as TM, as well as leveling up. And if he was learning every move by leveling up, then that would mean he would learn a brand new move every single level he gets. Not every 10 levels. So, with that being said, I think it's fair to say he really doesn't learn every single move. He can learn every single TM, I can't question that. But that's about it. So, next one. Can the Pokemon help cover each other's or allies' weaknesses? Now, what I mean by that is, this is actually a varying of the move. Remember when I said Jigglypuff is weak to poison and steel because he's a normal fairy type? Well, if he was able to learn a move to help cover that weakness, or you have a team member that can actually help Jigglypuff cover that weakness when Jigglypuff can't originally cover it himself, then that's a good thing to do. So like say for example, Jigglypuff can't learn a single can't learn a single fire type move or psychic or ground to cover his weaknesses to poison or steel. But you can put a ground type Pokemon on your team with that Jigglypuff to help cover the both poison and steel, because steel and poison both are weak to ground. Now, I probably might be wrong about Jigglypuff not being able to learn Psychic, because he might be able to. He might. I'm not saying that for a definite, because I don't actually know at the top of my head. Okay, on to the next planning routine. Number 2. The base stats or training. Meaning, like, how are you going to give a Pokemon certain items like the proteins, irons, calciums, carbos, zincs, HP ups, etc. Okay? So, here, you're actually not able to see these boxes, unfortunately, because apparently my iPad is terrible at recording my laptop screen. But over here, we have got a box that says type, ice and water. And this one, electric and normal. Who do you think those Pokemon are? Well, you was actually able to see it because of my mouse falling off. They are, for the ice and water type, Walrein. And for the electric normal type, the only one in the entire atmosphere, Heliolisk. There's also Helioptile, but I can't really count that for a matter of fact. I really do wish that... Oh my god, that's actually made it even worse. Yeah. I wish my iPad had a better way of recording certain screens, because I've got my curtains closed behind me and the lighting on my laptop screen is still shining like really bright. Like, in fact, my laptop screen isn't even shining bright. It's just the iPad is not even able to, you know, whatever. So yeah, these are Walrein's and Heliolisk's base stats. You can see, Walrein is pretty much a balanced stat Pokemon, but he lacks in his speed. His defenses are exactly the same, his special attack is slightly more than his physical attack, and his speed is pretty much slow. But as for Heliolisk, he is not defensive or physically offensive whatsoever, but you can make it a really fast or very powerful special attacking Pokemon. Okay? Now there are actually certain things that you can come up with this, like based on training alone. You can... oh, hang on, that's in the latest slide. So, okay, I thought it was in that one, but it's not. Okay? So yeah, you got to think, what would be the best case scenario for this? You could either decide on Walrein to be a hybrid attacker, plain physical or plain special attacker, and teach him certain moves like Surf/Waterfall, Ice Beam/Blizzard/Ice Fang or Ice Shard, which actually is really good for Walrein because of how slow he is. You can also teach him moves like Body Slam to actually try to make the Pokemon paralyzed who he's hitting. You name them. That's for Heliolisk. The only possible moves I can think of that you can teach him would be Thunderbolt/Discharge, Hyper Voice, which I think he can learn. I can't say for definite. He can learn Grass Knot, which does help cover the ground types, but the only problem with that move is it varies on how heavy the opponent is. And wow, apparently the box underneath Walrein and Heliolisk was actually is actually showing now. So I don't know why it wasn't showing it in the first place. But anyway, that's what I'm on about for like base stats and that. For the training, like I say, you can train a Pokemon under anything you want. You can basically give them 51 energy drinks, which is the maximum you can give a certain Pokemon. Or, in Gen 6, you can go on Super Training and just focus on one stat and raise them up to a maximum EV of 252 and hope for the best so you can make it a max stat on that one stat, providing that his IV is 31 or any other kind of whatnot, I don't know. But it's not always to be the case, and I can tell this because I actually tried to super train a Steelix one time, and I wanted it to be a max physical defensive Pokemon, and I was off by 7 points. Even he was max physically trained. He had 252 EVs, but he didn't have 31 IVs in his physical defense, which is the reason why he didn't make it to that max stat. Okay? Now, I've actually accidentally clicked the mouse button left twice and gone back to this slide, so now we're going to move on to number 3, held items. Now, the reason why you see a photo here of the King's Rock and somebody holding onto it is actually to indicate the held item, because a King's Rock is basically an item found in the game, and someone's holding onto it. So, going back to Warren and Helios here, as you probably could mention, I don't actually show their abilities this time, but the main thing about having a good strategy, and I'm going to focus on Walwain right here real quick. Focus on his base stats and also his abilities. His abilities were Oblivious and Ice Body, as far as I can recall, while Heliolisk had Dry Skin and another one that I didn't even pay much attention to, because my memory is not really the best in the world. So for Walwain, when you give it a certain move set and also train him up into a certain way, you can do many things with Walwain's held items. You could give him either the Quick Claw, which actually makes the Pokemon occasionally, well, it doesn't make the Pokemon occasionally move faster than the opposition, but what it does is, it allows him to move first, providing the held item activates. It doesn't always activate all the time. But if you don't want to go for the Quick Claw, you could either go for Wise Glasses. Wise Glasses are actually a held item that boosts the Pokemon's special attack stat by 10%. And the other item you just saw sliding in right there, because I accidentally clicked the left button again, is the Icy Rock. Which, if you want to teach your Pokemon the move Hail, which is understandable because it will do good for ice types, you can make him hold the Icy Rock to actually extend the Hail from 5 turns to 8. But if you're doing a competitive team in Gens 3 to 5, because that's when Walwain was first introduced in Gen 3, it'll be pointless, because when a Pokemon summons the sun, the rain, the sandstorm, or the hail, it stays there permanently throughout the entire battle. But in Gen 6 and onwards, they changed that, so it always focuses on 5 turns, even when the Pokemon with the abilities of Snow Warning, Sandstream, Drizzle, and Drought come into play. Okay? Now, as for Heliolisk, I've only labelled 2 held items for this Pokemon, and they are a Choice Scarf. You could go for a max speed Heliolisk and give it the Choice Scarf to guarantee him to outspeed certain people, Pokemon even, but when you select one move, he will be locked into using that move until he's either switched out or KO'd. So that item does have an upside, but it also has a downside. But you could still take that to your advantage, but other people can also counterattack it at the same time. So if you don't want to go for the Choice Scarf, that's entirely up to you, because you can go for like the Choice Specs, which is a special attack version of the held item that locks into using one move, or the Focus Sash, which, if you're dealing with a Pokemon that can knock you out in one hit, that Focus Sash will guarantee the Pokemon to survive at least one hit, acting like he's got the ability Sturdy even though he hasn't. And now for the final area that I'm going to be talking about a good Pokemon team, because I'm ending it with the Master Ball. Number 4, the category types of moves, brackets, physical, special, or status. Now, this actually is a key important thing, because, as you remember, you got to think of the Pokemon's held items as well as the base stats, as well as what moves under what category they are. Now, remember when I said that Warren can be either attacker, but Heliolisk can only be a special attacker? This is where this whole thing is implying. Now, there are certain moves many people can learn, like I said earlier, and I said people again, don't know why I keep saying that, but there are certain moves like Ice Fang, Ice Punch, Ice Shard, Fire Punch, etc. And those kind of moves are labelled to be as physical. This is what the physical category looks like, so you got to pay attention to that symbol if you're training up a Pokemon that is a physical attacker. If you decide, oh, this Pokemon's physical attack space stat is 100, but his special attack is 60, and you teach him nothing but special attacks, he's not going to do much. He's not going to do a lot of damage. You want to focus on the physical bit, because the physical will deal more damage with the physical attacking Pokemon than the special, which is this one right here. So this is the physical, this is the special. And I already labelled that certain physical moves can be like Ice Fang, Ice Punch, Ice Shard, Fire Punch, Fire Fang, and so on. But the special moves can be certain things like Ice Beam, Blizzard, Frost Breath, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Thunderbolt, you name them. Okay? So always pay attention to what kind of attacking Pokemon that Pokemon is. But there is one more category that I already mentioned in the previous slide, but I haven't shown it yet, and that is status. This symbol indicates moves that can be used against opposing Pokemon, but they never do any damage. Instead, they'll do stuff like Thunder Wave, guaranteed to paralyze the Pokemon. Toxic, to guarantee to badly poison the opponent. Or Cotton Guard, to drastically raise the user's physical defense by 3 stages. Okay? And so here, prime example here, where I've actually used different Pokemon for this time. We got Tyranitar. This is Tyranitar's base stats. You can see that he's 134 physical attack and 95 special attack. And if you actually pay attention to what moves he can learn, you can see here, we've got a lot of physical moves here. He can learn Thunder Fang, Ice Fang, Fire Fang, Bite, Chip Away, Rock Slide, Thrash, Payback, Crunch, Earthquake, Stone Edge, and Giga Impact is a physical, but the only specials he can learn are Dark Pulse and Hyper Beam. You could potentially go for a special attack in Tyranitar because his max special attack is 317 compared to his physical attack being 403. He is one of many Pokemon that has a lot of weaknesses, being 7. Because he is basically a Rock and Dark type, you have to pay attention to what type of moves will be able to help cover his weaknesses, which by the way, he can't cover all of them. These are the moves that he can basically learn by TM. I wasn't able to show all of it, but this is a prime example. You see we got Hidden Power, Ice Beam, Blizzard, once again, Hyper Beam, Thunderbolt, Thunder, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Round, and Focus Blast in the special category, but moves like Fling, Facade, Aerial Ace, Rock Tomb, Brick Break, Return, Earthquake, Smackdown, and Frustration to be this physical. You could potentially teach Tyranitar's status moves, but when you're dealing with a Pokemon typing of Fighting, which is what he's quad weak to, then that's basically signing a death warranty for Tyranitar unless you make it a particularly defensive Pokemon. You could teach him certain moves like Scary Face to sharply lower the opponent's speed to hopefully make Tyranitar move quicker. Or you could teach him Screech to sharply lower the opponent's physical defense. Or you could do certain stuff like Double Team to raise the Pokemon's evasion, or Sunny Day to actually weaken water type moves to stop Tyranitar from being weakened by the water type. But that also is a bad thing to do, because not only are you weakening the water types, which is good for Tyranitar, it's also bad for Tyranitar because a certain Pokemon that's able to learn a certain move known as Solar Beam. Now Solar Beam is actually a special attacking grass type move that has to charge up in one turn and then attack the next. Unless Sunny Day was out on the field, because if the sun is out, Solar Beam will automatically hit on the first turn every time. Okay, so you have to be aware of what certain moves to give that Pokemon. Okay, so that's basically all I can say about coming up with a good Pokemon team. So I'd like to thank you all for watching this video. If you didn't find it fascinating, then I can understand, because not everybody's videos can be the best in the world. I'm not aiming to be the greatest Let's Player in all the world. I'm just aiming to be a helpful and caring person like I always am. I will see you guys next time for more Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga or Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. See you guys then.